Hi everybody, this is QCQ. I use they them pronouns. We talk about pronouns before we do anything here because it's important. Trans visibility is important. Gender diverse visibility is important. And how we can make it easier for people in the gender diverse community is starting conversations by discussing our pronouns, especially if you're a cis person. Making that conversation more commonplace makes it easier for people in the gender diverse community to be their authentic selves without having to out themselves. It's a big safety thing. Normally we do have our pronoun extension working. It is temporarily turned off because it's related to the sound commands. But when we get into gameplay, feel free to hit exclamation pronouns where you can learn where to download the pronoun extension for Twitch, where you can set your pronouns, as well as where you can go to vote to make the trans tag a thing on Twitch, because trans visibility matters every single day, not just during times of tragedy and not just during weeks of awareness. So yeah, we're going to talk about a bunch of different stuff today. We're going to be talking about Final Fantasy. We're going to talk a little bit about Resident Evil and our upcoming collab that me and Koski are doing with a couple other people on the 22nd with Resident Evil Outbreak. So it's going to be really, really fun. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. If it is disrespectful, I'll probably just tell you that it's disrespectful and not let people actually answer it and probably tell you why. But so far we've been pretty good, so I don't think we'll have an issue. Without further ado, though, we are going to bring in our special guest, Koski. Hello.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi. Oh my god, look at me.
Yeah, that's you.
Hello.
Hi. We did get subtitles finally working for both people, so I'm very excited. I really want to thank Dungeon Meowster for that one. How are you doing today, Cassie?
I'm very, very well, thank you. I'm enjoying some cold brew.
The best thing. So we're just gonna start with having you. Yes, Hoodie BK. Okay, so there's one problem I have with calling you BK. I must be honest. It makes me think of Burger King when somebody says BK.
It makes everyone think of Burger King. I like went into someone's stream like as a newcomer and hit the follow, whatever, and they were like, "Welcome in, BK. Now I want Burger King.
Yep.
Thanks a lot." And I was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry."
So we're first just gonna have you introduce yourself. Tell people what you want about you. Name,
Oh my
pronouns,
god.
what your content's like, all that kind of stuff.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Hello, IVK Kasky. He, him pronouns. I am a variety streamer. My thing is like I always say when people come in, I'm like, I stream games that I'm probably bad at because I always think I'm a good gamer, but then I see like people on Twitch stream games and I'm like, oh, that's what a good gamer looks like. But I enjoy games. I've enjoyed games all my life. I'm a big Final Fantasy fan, which is why we're talking about Final Fantasy today. I
Mhm.
requested, I was like, can we rank Final Fantasies?
Yeah.
But I haven't played them all. So we'll get to that, I guess.
You haven't played
Um,
all of them?
I haven't
You
played
wanted
all
to
of them.
make that the topic of discussion and you didn't even talk.
This is exactly what I'm talking about when I say like I'm not actually a good gamer. Well, is there a haven't played before? That's why you're helping me. You're gonna help me fill in the
I just love
gaps.
that you got to choose any category you want. And you're like, let's rank all the Final Fantasies. I haven't played them all.
This is already off to a great start.
This is basically how the
Uh,
channel works.
no, this is basically me as a streamer. Anyway, that's me. That's me. I love JRPGs. But yeah, I'm not very good at them, but I do love them. I do.
Me too. I totally get that. Like, I love JRPGs, but then, like, I'm one of those people who halfway to, like, the 30th hour, I'm like, do I really want to finish that? Like, or
I
I could go
know.
do something else, and then I forget about them and come back and don't remember what I'm doing, and then restart them. And I'm like, this is so good until hour 30 comes up again.
A vicious cycle.
It is a
Like
vicious cycle.
that's me with Persona 4 right now. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like I think I'm literally at hour 30 and I'm like, well,
I like Persona's a hard one for me because like it is really good, but it's all these different things that I think I would enjoy solo, but together I'm like it's too much. Like
it's Yeah.
I'm like, I'm into a dating sim for like visual novel every once in a while. I'm into like a dungeon crawler. I'm into like Digimon 2.8, but not all at the same time. It's too much.
It's very overwhelming. When I played 5, that was my first Persona game, and I was like, what is going on? Like, I was getting whiplash with like all the different things you do.
Yeah,
Um, but now that I'm playing 4, like I get the formula now. Like I
yeah,
get it. I get the life simulator stuff. I get
yeah.
the social link stuff. I get the dungeon crawling.
Mhm.
But yeah, your first Persona game, you're like, what in the world?
See, and I remember my first Persona game was Persona 3, and I loved it. I was addicted to it. And then I was just like, I want to get all the links. I want to do all this. And I'm like, dating people is hard.
It's hard to like first like not only find all the social links, but
Yeah.
then keep them up.
Well, and that's the thing too, is like with the social links, like you have to go to the effort of meeting all the people and spending time with them and getting to know them. And I'm like, why can't this be just be like, Tinder or Grinder or something where we just mutually like each other, we do the deed and then never talk to each other again, but always have that moment. That would be great.
That would be so much easier. Just
Yeah.
one and done. One
One
and
and done.
done. I
Right?
made my connection. I made my link. Move on.
Like
Next.
we made a
Next one.
real deep connection here. That's all we need.
Fostering lifelong connections? Girl, this isn't real life. This is a
Nope.
video game.
Yeah. I mean,
Please calm down.
trying to find real life connections on Grindr is probably not a good idea either though, because that never happens.
Oh God. I do not use Grinder. I do not use it. I refuse.
You mean you meet people the old fashioned way?
Yeah, running up to them in the street. Hi! Just kidding.
In the park?
Not the park. Not the park. Like, where do we even like now that bars are like now that like grinding on the dance floor in a sweaty club is no longer a thing. I'm like, the old-fashioned way of meeting people really is eradicated.
It's really hard. And the
It's
thing,
really eradicated now because like now bars have turned into basically restaurants. Like this bar that I love in LA called not to dox myself, but it's called Akbar, and well, that was a double dox. Now people are going to be flocking to me at Akbar. But anyway, um well, now like the dance floor has been transformed into like sit down seating.
yeah,
And like you used to meet people in a bar like sweaty and like bunched together and like, oh, I'm sorry, and then you like talk to them kind of. But
yeah.
now that's like literally the old fashioned way of meeting people is like it's gone. You can't do it anymore. You literally have to meet, like, maybe I'm exaggerating, but like does an admiral run that bar? That's what I always think of whenever I say Akbar. Like Admiral Akbar. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent now, but I don't know. Do you agree? Like, do you think like I don't know?
It's definitely different. And the thing that was like, I have not really met a super, super, super meaningful connection online in relationship status, but like also like me being Demi probably doesn't help with that. But like anybody who I've met on those things, I'm just basically like, well, we're friends and we're gonna keep it that way. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody who have had romantic interest with, it's always been through like a friend of a friend or like at the bar and the like, let's get sweaty and like all like pile into a thing, which like
Right.
with COVID is like scary to think of now, but
Right. Like I think we will get to that level of safety and comfort
but
like maybe by the fall, but I
but
think through summer we're looking at like restaurant style bars and not dance floors.
well, and even then, even before COVID, like gay bars were kind of going that way anyway. Like the amount of people I knew who went to gay bars was like decreasing more and more and more because I'm like people didn't want to dance and like meanwhile there's me, I'm like I want to see you dance before we like chill out and stuff because that shows me how good you move.
Oh, wait. I need to know more about this. So you were seeing a decline in people wanting to like get sweaty in the bars?
Yeah, like people don't want to go out and dance like they used to, at least not in
This is just
Canada.
interesting. I mean, I feel like I've lost interest in that because I'm old. But um I guess I've never really liked dancing in the bar.
Really, that's my favorite
I
thing.
don't I don't know why. I just Because you know how you said you want to see how the body moves? If you saw mine moving, you'd be like, my guts, that person needs to leave.
So you're saying you've got the rhythm of a white boy. Got
Exactly. I have
it.
I have no rhythm at all. Well, I don't know. If you get some cocktails in me, maybe. I have to have some sort of rhythm. I used to play a musical instrument.
Which instrument was it?
Tuba.
I used to play the tuba.
Wait, I feel like we've discussed
Like
this
I played
before.
baritone tuba in marching band. That got me to Disney.
We were tuba twins.
Tuba twins. Except my tuba was like damaged as hell.
So was mine. All tubas are damaged to hell.
Wait,
Like
wait.
all tubas have 1 million dents.
Yup. What is this rhythm you speak of? I don't know. My problem is I was really bad in band because when you're, and you'll understand this, when you're a tuba, they'll always be like, okay, hold this like note so everybody can like tune to it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
my problem is I don't know, I can read music, but I mostly play by ear, which like is apparently a really good gift, except when you're in band and he's like, hold an E. I'm like, which note is that one again? And he's like, well, you play it in this song. I'm like, I don't know. And then somebody would like come and was like, oh yeah, and like just instantly played it.
I hated being the tuner. Like they'd be like, "All right, tuba," and they'd point, and I would like play the note, and it'd just be like, like just fucking like, "Oh, I forgot to empty my spit valve. Sorry. All right, let me give you that B flat again."
Right? Hey, Ian, nice to see you. But yeah, it's being a tuba players are hot, obviously. Look at us both.
O- Obviously.
Yeah. And
Oh, hi, Ian.
nothing sexier than a spit valve.
Oh my God. I used to play trombone in high school, and I would just love emptying that spit valve right on the linoleum floor.
um,
Like those are memories. Just emptying that thing, just dumping it out on the linoleum.
I remember our music room had a rug floor, and I'm like, there is probably
Ew!
like,
No, just soaked,
and
just drenched in like children's saliva.
I like remember one time I was talking to the girl beside me who also played tuba, and like both of us were people who played different instruments, but ended up playing tuba because they needed tuba players and we weren't in band before, and both of us were just like, how many generations of like spit is on this floor? Like how many kids are currently playing over the spit of their parents?
Because you know that carpet's not getting like steam cleaned.
No, it's definitely not. And like anytime they're like, "Oh, we're cleaning it," and we're like, "Why, you vacuumed?"
Not happening.
Yeah. Um. um. So I want to thank everybody who came here today. So we are going to be talking a little bit about Final Fantasy, Resident Evil, and then we're going to be doing the tier list, which has now kind of become a staple and has been really, really fun. We aren't doing one as like gross as the last one. What is Final Fantasy?
Oh my
Um,
God, Fio.
it's amazing. That's what it is. Um, so you've been playing Final Fantasy on your stream recently, right?
Me? Yes.
Yes.
Wait, me?
Yes, you.
Me, the guest of this podcast?
Yes.
You're asking me.
Yeah.
Um, I have the last Final Fantasy I played
Yeah.
on stream was a borderline traumatizing experience, I must admit.
Wasn't it 6?
I was playing 6, and first I played the bad Steam version with like
Okay.
the weird sprite art. It wasn't the nice like 16-bit or whatever art.
Yeah.
Um and the controls were weird, and I like threw it in the garbage.
Yeah.
And then I played the correct pixel,
Yeah.
whatever correct version,
Yeah.
and was really, really loving it. Had some struggles with it, but the story was amazing. Kefka is, in my opinion, the best Final Fantasy villain. And then I had to do so much grinding, and I felt leveled up and ready to go. And then I got to the final like stage,
Mhm.
with like the six bosses like back to back, and I would get through like the first three and then get fucking wiped and then try. I just kept trying it, and I gave up. And I still have the game marked as finished on my stream because I was like, you know what? I dumped 40 hours into this game, whatever. And then I did download the cheat codes that gives you like max damage and like you
Yeah.
don't die basically.
Yeah.
And I did beat it off stream um using the cheat codes. So I'm like,
Did
whatever.
you just like YouTube the ending? You're like, look what I did. Play.
I know. That's what everyone joked to me. They were like, "Yeah, just play the YouTube video." I did. So Final Fantasies I have actually beaten on stream are 10 and 13,
Okay.
which it feels like it should be more at this point. I do want to stream. I am going to be playing Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade
Yeah.
in June when that comes
Yeah.
out. Um, and then I want to stream 12, 15, 8, and 9 like over the course of my streaming career.
Yeah. That's. I mean, that's fair. Like Final Fantasies are a big investment, so you can't just do them back to back. You can't. Because like I
Right,
want to stream all
right.
the Final Fantasies, but I'm like, I've left that up to my wheel of fate that I do on Fridays, and like when they show up, I'll do them.
Yeah. It's just hard to do them. There's this Wolfcade Zero who I rated before not rated before this. He did all the Final Fantasies back to back to back. He went from the highest number down to 1. And I was like, how?
I mean,
Literally how?
they're great, they're fun, but like I've already like formulated how I'm gonna do it when I do it, so that it's like not life ending.
Right, you don't get burnout.
Exactly. Like I'm doing the Metal Gear Solid series, and I'm playing my least favorite in it right now, and like I just wanted like there's points where I'm just like I want it over. I need this
You're on
done.
you're on 2, right?
Yeah.
Are you how close to finishing are you?
We just met. We're just about to meet Emma,
Okay.
which, if I remember correctly, is like pretty close to the end.
Okay. Because then you get to really treat yourself with,
Snake
I
Eater.
think, the best Metal Gear Solid
I
game.
100% Snake Eater, in my opinion, is the best one.
Period.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I will. It's also got the most dramatic theme song because like that. And I said this to Dan. I'm like, when that girl is singing Snake Eater, the way she sings it, it's like they were like, okay, we need you to make the most dramatic and like impressive vocal performance of your life, and if you don't, we're gonna kill your family. And that is how she sings that song.
Oh my god, I forget. I bet the second I hear it though, I'll have like
Oh,
a
for
blast
sure.
of nostalgia.
Yeah, Sons of Liberty is fun. The problem I'm having with it, I think, is just that like I know that three's next, and I'm like, I just want to play it. Also, I'm about to the part of two that I don't like, which is the escort mission, because me and escort missions like, um, which leads to our conversations about Resident Evil and how I think Resident Evil 4 is the worst Resident Evil. Fight me.
Is it because of the escorting of whoever in
Yeah,
that last
I
part?
hate Ashley so much.
I haven't played 4 since like it came out on whatever, I guess PS2. Um so I don't have a memory of the escort part,
Yeah.
but I have heard that complaint, like how basically that escort portion like ruins 4.
Well, and the other things I don't like about because like I'm real like when I get into a game, I'm super into the lore. I do all the research when I get like when I get into a game, like my OCD goes overboard and I need to just get more and more information. And one of my compulsions is like when I have those questions, I need to find out the answer immediately.
Hmm.
So I get really into it. And what I didn't like about Resident Evil 4 is they kind of took all the like lore, all the, secretness of Umbrella, all that kind of build up and everything, and we're like, Chuck, and like went its own direction. And then that's also,
Really?
yeah, and that's also what kind of brought the Resident Evil series into less of a horror and more into an action game. Um,
Yes, that was the big turning point.
Yeah, because they were like, oh, 4 went super well. We're gonna keep this formula going. It's gonna be great. And I do like 5 and 6 a lot more, and I think it's mostly because of the co-op aspect of it.
Hold on, hold on. Did you just say you like
I do
6?
like 6.
No, 6 is the biggest fucking pile of garbage I've ever played in my
See,
entire
the
life.
reason I like 6 though is because as somebody who's played the entire series, it kind of brings them all together again and ties up stuff. As far as gameplay is concerned, it's generic.
It's an arcade game. It's a game that you like go to the roller rink. It's like it was like Time Crisis,
Yeah. But I did just like I like that they brought back what made Resident Evil great, and I like
which
how
was what?
Umbrella,
Oh, okay,
um,
okay, okay.
and like bringing the storyline of the characters back in. You know,
And it did sell well. Like even
it
though
sold
6
them.
was critically panned, it like sold a fuck ton.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like 5 more than I like 6.
Well, 5 is just a better co-op experience,
Five's
period.
just a better experience, period.
6 made me want to blow my brains out.
See,
I played it. I did a co-stream playing 6, and oh my gosh, uh, I think the only story I liked was the Leon one. The Chris one, I was like, this cannot end soon enough.
but like, I mean, the romance is there though.
The sexual tension was absolutely through the roof, and we loved that.
Yeah. I liked that they brought Sherry back in 6.
Wait, is that the blonde?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
she's such a like she's an important character in the second one, but then you never really hear about her, and like the way they brought her back was really nice. Wesker's kid, I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
personally would have loved it more if instead of him they had Claire, because that would have made sense because those two have like a history and blah blah. But Leon is not hot. Leon is like every fuck boy that you see at a college frat party.
So I don't think any like Resident Evil character is hot, except someone has already modded Chris in Resident Evil Village to be naked, and oh wow, I'll tell you. You thought the Carlos RE3 mod was good.
Like who makes these so quickly? Like do they basically just like look at the promo video and just like start working on it and tweak it once the game comes, or do they just like wait till the game's out, go to the character model and just work really really fast?
I mean, who knows? The devil works hard, but horny people work harder.
Oh my god, I love that one so much.
I mean, like they put fur on his butt.
They
Like
put
the
fur on
the
his butt?
attention to detail.
They were just like, we're gonna give you ass hairs because we
Like
care.
it's so like well done. I'm like, who are you?
I do appreciate
Who
that they didn't make them hairless because that's just not for me
Yeah, that and it's just not correct. Like you look at Carlos, you look at Chris, you know there's got to be hair.
yet. Like Leon coming out smooth as a baby for sure. He seems like the guy who like bleaches his anus. But
Yeah, he a twunk for
yeah,
days.
for
Yeah.
sure. Like he's still trying to relive those glory days and go to the bar and get a free drink, even though he can't afford it because he's a trust fund baby. But whatever.
You don't
But
want to spend that money.
yeah, also ACAB. I think that's probably why I don't like him. Is he starts out as a cop.
Yeah, I mean that's isn't that the problem with like all these Resident Evil games where we're just like playing cops and we're
No,
like,
they're not all
okay,
cops though. Like the Stars unit was a special forces unit. Like I
okay,
respect
okay.
the military a little bit more.
Yeah, fair, fair. I just remember starting 3 and I was like, wait, they're cops. I hate this game. Or are they cops? Is Jill a cop?
Jill's not a cop. She
No.
stars.
She okay, okay, okay. I
Yeah,
feel
she
better
stars,
now.
and stars is different because stars is like a specialty division. They're like cops, except they like deal with like crisis situations.
Zombies.
Well, now they do. Um, but so who is your favorite Resident Evil character then?
um, Probably either Jill or uh Ada.
Okay, that's fair.
Like I loved Ada's section of the RE2 remake.
My favorite will always be Claire. Always. Like Claire and me are just
Yeah,
like I loved everything about her. How like she was probably like the toughest one going in, but also the sweetest. And she don't get
yeah.
enough love. And like in the storyline of Resident Evil, because like I am that person, like she when everybody else starts going into, the unit that is hunting down bioweapons and everything like that, she instead works for an agency that's more focused on like preventing them and healing people affected by them, which I really love. Is like when everybody's like, no, we're gonna fight to end this, Claire was like, no, we're gonna make sure that the people who are harmed by this are okay. And like
Oh,
it's just like
so
I
noble.
love her nurturing like personality. I actually have a rubber duck of her, Chris, and Jill.
I'm sorry, did you say a rubber
Yeah,
duck? Can you please present that?
I will I actually could. They're like a little bit of ways. I'd have to run to get them.
That's
Um,
okay. Just at some point I need to see them in life.
when the podcast's over and we switch to the games, I will grab them quickly.
Oh my God. That's
Um,
so funny.
but they're adorable, and everybody's like, "Well, why didn't you get the Leon one?" I'm like, "Because I didn't want him.
Who would want Leon as a rubber duck? I want Claire as a rubber duck,
I want
obviously.
Jill as rubber duck. I want Chris as rubber duck. Leon's fine."
I do not like Leon either.
Yeah,
I agree with you on the Leon like indifference.
yeah. Like it's not that I hate him. I just don't like. The only thing I think I don't like about Leon is like the movies and everything are very very focused on Leon, and like
Mm.
they kind of shaft everybody else because of it. And it's like, I want to know more about Jill. I want to know more about Claire. I want to know more about Chris. But you know who I hear all about? Leon. Leon, Leon, Leon,
Because
Leon.
fans love Leon.
Which, like, people are entitled to their own wrong opinions.
Now, here's a question. What is your opinion on the movies? And we also should do a definitive ranking of the RE movies if you watch them.
Real life or the animated?
Oh, I've only seen the real life.
Okay, so the animated ones are awesome. Watch them. If you like Resident Evil, you need to watch them. I think almost all of
Okay.
them are on Netflix now because Netflix got the rights to them. So I think they've finally like
Right, because
transferred
they're
them all
doing
over.
the new RE
They did,
series
yeah,
on
and
Netflix.
they did the last animated movie was a Netflix or technically a Netflix original, and I think they got all of them on there now, and they're really really good, and
And
they're
oh,
canon,
they are canon? Okay, I
yeah.
gotta watch them though.
But then you watch the other ones, and like I feel like the Resident Evil movies, like the further along they go, the worse they get, and then there was one where there was like a little bit of hope. That's like, oh, we're on an upswing, and then it just like went tanking down again.
Oh,
Um,
interesting. I have, I think, a very different opinion of the live action RE movies.
oh, do you love
Shall
them?
I love the
See, I like the first one because it was like, oh, okay, you're like making a like almost an alternate universe with unique characters in the Resident Evil story. This is cool. And then the second one came out, and I was like, oh, okay, I
the
guess.
second. Yeah.
And then it just was like, what the fuck's like? She's telekinetic now, and like we're doing jujitsu, and
I think like I don't view them as I think my liking them doesn't have to do with the way they fit into the lore because I'm sure they don't at all and like they do a terrible job of like fitting into the larger theme of anything
yeah,
Resident Evil, but I just like them as like pure like action movies. Like I
yeah, that's
think
fair.
Retribution, which is the second to last one,
Wasn't that one that
is
just
like
like all chasing?
yes. It's so good and the music is good, the action is good. I think Retribution I like I like all the ones after 3. I think the first one is good, 2 and 3 are bad, and then 4, 5, 6, 7? Is there a 7th? Wait.
Uh,
Afterlife, Retribution. I think I'm missing one.
what's the one where
The,
they like clone everybody?
I think that's
Is like it
Retribution.
starts out with them in the like fake town.
Oh, that one is no, that one is Afterlife.
See, I like that one.
Afterlife is great. That's when Paul W.S. Anderson came back. He did the first one, and then another director did two and three, and then W.S. Anderson came back to finish it off.
Yeah. And like I
Um,
liked that one, but that's just because like I liked it brought so many of the original characters back, which I liked.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. I think I just like that director, and I like Mila Jovovich, so I feel like I like those movies, like outside of them as like part of Resident Evil
Okay, but
culture.
she also touched another Resident Evil series that you were a fan of.
Monster Hunter.
Yeah. What did you think
I
of that
so
movie?
I still haven't seen Monster Hunter, which is insane because it re-teams Mila and her husband. So I need
Hmm.
to see it. I need to watch
And
it.
it's about a series I know you love.
Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
I do love Monster Hunter. I'm a new fan. I played World. I was very frustrated because I had a very steep learning curve,
Yes, it does.
but I had dear friends who told me to keep going, stick with it. I fell in love with World, and now I'm playing Rise. Um, and now I kind of miss World.
Yeah.
Like Rise is great. Rise is great, but
Hmm.
I miss the scope of World.
Rise kind
Like,
of reminds me more of like the OG one that like I played on the
mhm.
PS2, where back I'm dating myself, but like back when the PS2 came out and like you have to like screw in the internet cable that you got
Yeah.
separately with a penny. Like they actually,
Yes,
I remember the
literally.
instructions were like to put this on, like put to the back of your console, use a penny and screw in. And I'm like, they really want you to use currency. All right, Sony.
They literally. Yes, that used to be a thing. That type of slot used to be a thing, and they were like, use your actual money to open this.
Yeah. Um, but it was fun. I liked it. And it ended up getting me into like Final Fantasy 11, which I got really addicted to, and then I avoided Final Fantasy 14 like the plague, because I'm like, if I touch this, I will be lost to it like before. So then I ended up going on a leave from work for a minute, and I was like, I have nothing to do. I'm gonna get Final Fantasy 14, and henceforth, like I slept, I think maybe like an hour, like every 2 days, because I was just like, need to grind, need to grind. And I have nothing to show for it because my character is basically still crap.
I am loving 14. It's a lot of work, but
It's fine.
I love it. And I did try. I was the same as you. I tried 11 as a kid. I got the PS2 online or the PlayStation online, whatever fucking thing that you
Hmm.
had to screw into the back of.
Yeah,
But it was so like over my head.
yeah.
I was too young and I didn't continue it, but
Back when they're like,
boy did I
I
try.
love when they're like, "Are you over 18?" And you're like, "Yeah."
Yeah, yes, of course.
I am 21.
Yeah, that I remember really wanting to try it and just immediately feeling defeated by it because I was like, I don't know what I'm
I
doing.
loved it because I did find like somebody pretty early on that was just like super nice, super cool, super good, and just like gave me the like showed me the ropes. And like of course I took the rogue class, like the thief class, which is like the hardest one to start out with.
Oop.
And I was like, this will be fine. It wasn't fine. But I ended up getting pretty far, and then I would just like became an adult and was poor. Um,
I mean, T. And people can still play 11 right now,
yeah,
right?
11's still live. I think it was on sale today, actually. Um,
Wow.
but I'm going to be coming back to 14, because I said when I left, I will come back to this game because I know it's a problem. I have an addiction, and that is fine. I'm in control of this. I'm going to stop. I'm going to not renew my subscription. And I will come back whenever they turn those bunny chicks into boys. Guess what they announced yesterday?
It's happening. The bunny chicks are turning into boys. Everyone's excited.
I'm very
Everyone better be
excited.
jumping.
So I'm going to get back into it, which like rip my free
Yeah.
time. Um,
I pre-ordered Endwalker the other day.
Nice. I have to like buy it all again on PC because I had it on console.
Yeah.
Um,
I also bought the game twice because I started playing it on console and I was like, this is not a controller game. This is not a
No.
controller game.
No, and I just like was plugging in like my mouse and my keyboard into my PlayStation.
Oh, geez, yeah.
But I'm just like, you know what? Let's just play this on a computer, and then I can like mod it and make me look. I was like, I can mod it, and make it look sexier. Meanwhile, like Final Fantasy, they're like, no, we're putting the guys in thongs.
They're making it sexy for you.
Yeah, they did like Final Fantasy straight up is like, you know what? The World of Warcraft already has all the guys with like Cheeto stains on their fingers. We're taking the gays.
Literally. Like, you better believe my tank's running around in a bathing suit.
Oh yeah, like almost everybody's is.
It's
um,
about the fashion, looking as
Fashionable.
fashionable as possible.
Yes, the fashion. That's that's what it is. Fashion. Um, but like I mean, really, like you're like playing your character, and you're like, I wonder what they would look like in a bright pink thong going into battle. And like you'll like go into battle and there'll be guys literally running around in speedos and they're like, this is our tank. Look at his strong armor. He's like naked.
Literally,
Wearing
literally,
armor.
that's me as a tank,
Yeah.
just running in nude.
Well, and like I just love it because you see all those memes about the like if men had to wear women's armor. I'm like, play Final Fantasy 14, you will see it. You will see it. And like meanwhile, all
Like,
the women are like completely covered because that's Final Fantasy's community.
exactly, exactly. Just a bunch of gays.
Yeah. And like occasionally a straight's in there and they're like, I'm looking for a girlfriend. And you're like, well, no. Um, unless you,
Uh,
pardon, what's that? A cozy white mage cloak, please. I mean, I wish I had a white mage cloak in real life, to be honest with you.
I mean, my white mage cloak that I currently am wearing in the game, it's quite a fashion statement, I must say.
Kate, did you ever play Chocobo Dungeon?
No, I actually did not know it existed until my friend Leo mentioned it to me. He
I'm
was like, "Well," I was like, "What is this?"
I love Chocobo Dungeon. The newest one is not as good as the like Chocobo Dungeon 2 that was on like PS1. And I want the cloak that she wears in it because it's like it looks just like comfy, and I'm like, I'm gonna overheat in it, but I'll wear it all the time.
Hey, once again, it's about fashion, not comfort.
Right? It's like every single gay person growing up wanted an Organization 13 cloak. I can guarantee
Oh,
it.
sure,
Like,
sure.
tell me one gay person who was who was around when Kingdom Hearts came out, who wasn't like, I want that cloak.
Need it, need it.
Yeah, like every single one like went on eBay and was like, how much would it cost me to get somebody to make this for me?
Oh my gosh, that's one series that I have really been like, um, dragging my feet on replaying.
Yeah,
I never finished Kingdom Hearts 3.
me neither.
I stopped after the Tangled World. I was like, I'm good.
Oh my
But I
god, we got to
want
the
to
same
play.
part. They're like, you can go to Frozen now, and I'm like,
I'm good. I'm good. I do want to replay 1 and 2, which will lead me into 3. I will do it. But yeah, once I got to the Tangled World, I'm like, I'm good, love.
I'm
Thanks.
just like upset that they've done Kyrie so dirty.
See, I don't even know. I don't even know what the story is.
Well, that's the thing is like the third, like at the end of the second one, they make it seem like okay, Kyrie's a Keyblade master now. Like we're gonna go do shit. We're gonna like kick some ass, and then the only time you see her is a training montage thing, and that was right before the Frozen level, and I was like, fuck this. Like I want my little redheaded girl to stop being the damsel in distress and kick some ass. And they're
Right,
like, no,
right.
no, we can't have a woman be the strongest one except for Aqua, but Aqua's busy being like emo in the corner. So no. And it just pissed me off.
So they set her up to be a badass and then didn't actually like
Yeah.
let it happen.
Yeah. Um
That's annoying.
I know. And I just like I really like it's there's so many times that in games they like screw everything over for everybody. Like especially the girls, which is what I really liked about like the 13 like entire saga is like the girls are the head bitches in charge.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. I love Final Fantasy 13.
Okay, Final Fantasy 13 does have some shitty gameplay mechanics because of the maps, which is I can go like the reason for that is because when they decided to go cross console, they couldn't fit it on Xbox discs because of how much content it was and the graphic content of it. Because the HD disc couldn't hold as much as Blu-rays, which is why so much stuff got cut and why it basically became a hallway simulator.
Right. I don't mind it being a hallway simulator because I love the combat system.
The
I
combat
think the
system's
combat system,
great.
it's so good. And like when 13 opened up to that one open world map, I think is so horribly done. I
Mhm.
was like, please just go back to being hallways, please.
But the thing that I really like is because of that issue, they had so much extra content that they cut that they ended up. That's how come Final Fantasy 13 2 was a thing. And I am obsessed with Final Fantasy 13 2. It is in my top three Final Fantasy games.
Wow. I
Um,
mean, I know we'll get to it, but I know we have differing opinions on 13 too.
13 2 I think is fantastic. It brought the time traveling amazingness of Chrono Trigger in. It had the amazing combat system that Final Fantasy 13 had and just like refined it a little bit. Also, Sarah is probably the only character in that entire series that's not problematic.
E. I love Sarah.
Like I remember playing the first 13 and being like, I want to play Sarah. Sarah's the coolest person in this game. And she stuck with the worst, like one of the worst people in this game because I hated Snow.
Snow sucks.
Like the only redeeming quality about Snow is that he's got the coolest Lassie, which like that's not an accomplishment. Having the
Wait,
best curse isn't a win.
wait, what's his Lassie again? I forget.
Shiva,
Oh, why does he get Shiva? That's rude. Oh, because his
because
name is fucking Snow. I'm
also they had to
done.
give him one redeeming quality.
Because he's trash
He
otherwise.
is trash. Um, So, speaking of Final Fantasy 13, we're going to move on to discussing the Final Fantasy 13 games and ranking
Oh,
them.
oh my gosh, look at this tier list.
Yeah. So, we're going to go through all of them. I already know that apparently a lot of them you haven't played.
Not me suggesting this, and I haven't played half of
The
them.
thing is,
All
I
right.
originally suggested doing the Resident Evil series to me, and you're like, nah, Final Fantasy seems more fun.
I'm an idiot. All right, it's fine.
So are we gonna have to like look up the like synopsis of each game so that we can read it to you and you'd be like, that sounds fun.
No, I feel like I have enough knowledge about the series that I can make like an educated guess.
Okay. And yeah, Miyu, I'm about to get back into 14. We were discussing that it's gonna be a danger zone. So the first Final Fantasy, if you had to rate that, what would you rate it and why?
One I haven't played. Um, I mean, crap. Have you played it?
Yeah,
Where would you put it?
B.
B? Okay, let's put it at B. That's what I was
Okay.
thinking.
Okay.
Because it's the OG. I
Yeah.
know, like, it hadn't worked out a lot of the kinks
Yeah.
yet. So yeah, put it at B.
Okay. So, and I also have a random question here. So, of all the summons in Final Fantasy, if you had to sleep with one, why are they from Final Fantasy X?
I mean, Final Fantasy X has the hottest summons, period.
um,
I mean, Ifrit, let's take a look. Hello, Ifrit.
yeah. And I mean, realistically, every single queer person, if they didn't know it yet, had their queer awakening the minute that Shiva went.
Oh, the second she snapped.
Like, when she snapped and that ice broke, it wasn't ice she was breaking, it was breaking your heterosexuality. She was like, any shred of heterosexuality that you thought you had is now destroyed.
Yeah, period. Period. Life changing.
It was. And like I can't think of a single gay person that I know who hasn't admitted that they didn't snap with her at least once. Like I'm like you snapped with her and they're like no, I'm like you snapped with her. Yeah.
Yeah, you did. You
Okay.
know you did.
Okay, Final Fantasy 2.
Final Fantasy 2, I am aware of. I've heard it's not that good, so I'll put it at D.
D. I mean, that's honestly pretty fair. It can be pretty tedious.
That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard. And I
Um,
watched someone stream a little bit of it. And yeah, it just seems, I think it's notoriously, well, not, a lot of people say 13 or 15 are the worst, which no. But I think 2 is like most generally considered like one of the weakest
yeah.
ones.
Final Fantasy 3.
3, I don't know much about, unfortunately. I think I would put it at like B or C. Isn't there something? Doesn't 3 have like a claim to fame?
Yes, it does.
Can you remind me what its claim to fame is?
No, I
Is it
can't.
the class system?
It is the job classes.
Okay, so it should be at B at least.
Okay.
It should be at B. I would put it at B.
Okay. See, and if you played Dissidia, you could at least go off the heroes.
The way I know nothing. We're getting into ones I know now.
Okay. Final Fantasy 4.
That one goes at A.
A. So why?
Wait. Wait, yeah, A.
A.
Because it refined the class system. And doesn't it have like the best class system?
Not in my opinion.
Oh.
But we'll go into
Which
that
one
later.
has the best one in your opinion?
I'll tell you when we get there.
Oh right, this is technically my tier list, and then you do yours. Okay.
Well, I don't even do mine. I literally, I'm getting your input, and then I will comment on stuff after you've made your decision.
Oh, got it, got it. Okay, you're gonna be like, this is wrong, this is wrong.
Oh yeah, totally. Okay, so Final Fantasy 5.
5, I think, doesn't it also have like issues? Like, don't people not wait? I would put 5 at B. Put 5 at B.
Okay. Are you just putting anything that you don't know anything about at B?
Kind of. But doesn't 5 isn't 5 like, or doesn't it not have a very good class system? Or is that
Eh. I didn't mind 5 honestly. I definitely think it's not the best, but I don't think it's the worst.
put it at C. Put it at C.
Okay, Final Fantasy 6. These are the ones you know now, right?
Now we're getting into ones I know, thank God.
Okay.
All right. 6 is S.
Okay, so why?
I think it has the best Final Fantasy story of all of the ones I've played. I think it has
Okay.
the best story. I think it has the best cast of characters. There are so many characters. Like no game where you get to the end and you're selecting your heroes out of like there's like 12. And not only do you know their abilities and how they pair up well with the other heroes, but you know their personalities. And I
Mhm.
feel like no game should be able to do that, especially like that early on. It was like what, 93?
Yeah.
And you know all these characters so well, not only like abilities but personality.
Mhm.
Um and I think the way 6 operates sort of not linear, but it, you're kind of going on a path.
Yeah.
It's still open world, but you're going to where you need to go.
Yeah.
And then the big event happens where the world literally cracks open and ends. And not only is that like so tragic and insane for a game to do, like not just like narrative wise, but then gameplay wise for a game in 1993 to then crack it opens so wide that you don't have to go in order, and you're like and the trope of getting the team back together, which like every Marvel movie does now, right? Like it was so novel for a game to like have that narrative trope of getting, you have to find your party and bring everyone back together for the big final battle. I just think it's so brilliant,
Mhm.
and it really was the blueprint for Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
Like a lot of what 7 does, 6 did it first.
Yeah.
And it is, it makes sense why 7 is the claim to fame, because it was, I think, the first one on PlayStation, right?
Yes.
And the graphics, it was the first 3D one,
Correct.
so like it makes sense.
Yeah.
But 6 deserves the credit of being the blueprint.
Yes, Mito, he does know this one. Okay, so we're gonna move on to Final Fantasy VII.
See, the ones I know. Okay, 7. This might be controversial, but I'm putting 7 at A. 7 is not S tier for me. 7 is A.
Okay, why?
I think now that I've played 6, like I think I originally would have put 7 at S. But I mean the story is very good. Obviously the death of Aerith is like traumatizing and so memorable and probably one of the most like tragic and memorable deaths of video game history.
Oh yeah.
I do think the back half of 7 is not, it doesn't like the Shinra stuff, the basically where 7 remake ends, like that entire basically disc 1 I guess of 7 is so powerful, and then once it gets into open world, it's still an amazing game, but it's no longer S tier for me. It kind of moves down to A tier for me once it becomes like a true open world game.
And I mean, I would definitely agree with you that like it kind of goes off the rails at 2, where you're like dun 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 dun. In my opinion, Final Fantasy VII is a C-rated game.
Explain.
I think it's overhyped. The reason why it's hyped so much is because it was the first game of its style, of its type. It was the first 3D RPG. You know, that was like what it was. And it did a lot of, like, game mechanic wise, it made so many things happen by coming out. But, like, Cloud's annoying and has no personality. He literally, the only personality he has is copied from somebody else.
I know. Cloud is like such a problematic fave of mine because he's literally a clone of Zack or whatever the fucking story is.
Yeah.
And like even in remake, I'm in love with him, but he's such a little like whiny fuckboy.
So here's the thing:
like, shut up.
If remake was on this list, remake would be high.
Remake is S. Remake is S tier
fixed
because
so much
the
stuff.
way finally a platform for me to talk about this. Okay. The way remake brings in those flowy Dementor looking things, those flowy Dementor things represent fan expectation.
I think so too.
And the way the characters in the game literally are fighting off like fan expectation, it's not a remake. The reason it's called a remake is because it's specifically not a remake. Where remake ends up at the end, where they literally murder the Arbiters of Fate, cracks open 7 remake into becoming its completely different own game. Zack is alive, right? Yeah. Zack's alive.
For me, like the point of like with remake, I thought the reason they call it remake was because they're remaking the story. They're not saying the same story. They're remaking
exactly.
it.
Exactly.
And
that's why part 2, I think part 2 is not going to be called remake anymore.
No, it's going to be called Final Fantasy Remake, Reduce, Reuse, Recycle.
Period. Yeah, I'm like, oh my god. Yeah, Final Fantasy VII Remake is S tier for me.
Yeah.
It is better than the original.
They made me like Aerith, which I did not like. When she died the first time I was like, I like her because she's a healer and I like healers. But personality-wise, I'm kind of eh. But she became so endearing. Her and Tifa go from being, like, competitive love interest to best friends, which I adore.
Right? And when they link arms with Cloud after they beat up the ghost man in the train, they're like, oh my
god. Barrett seems less of a racial stereotype, which is nice.
Yes.
I do hate that they took away his swearing, but I do appreciate that they added swearing for Aerith. When she,
what does she say? She says shit.
When she's like falls and she's like shit. I'm like yes. Like that was the moment. Funny. That was the moment I was like, I like her so much more now.
Well, it is interesting. The reason the original was able to get away with his swearing was because it wasn't voiced and they could bleep it.
Yeah.
They could censor it. But with remake, they can't have him say fuck all the time because then it would be an M-rated game, which is stupid,
See,
but
I'm kind of like sad they didn't find a creative way to do it where like every time that he swore or something, they didn't just like make an explosion go off or like make the like cell phone go off or something because I think that would have been funny and like every fan would have like
right.
laughed their ass off.
Yes, why aren't you in the writer's room of Final Fantasy VII Remake?
I'm too white.
Like that I mean, that is a great suggestion. Like they should have done that. Would have added even more because there is a lot of humor in the game, which I
Yeah.
appreciate. And I do think the way Remake handled the honeybee and the Don Corleone,
Oh, it's so much better.
they really fixed it
Yeah.
because in 7 it's problematic. And
Like I
and
do appreciate that they made it go from like a brothel to like a burlesque house, like a Moulin Rouge type facility.
yes, and it's really queered up, and I think it's great. I think it's a great moment. Like when the honeybee guy says like queer or was he what do they say like sexuality is a construct or
Yeah.
gender is a construct. It's really exciting
Well,
for queer little players of the game like us.
well, and the thing is, they went from making the whole idea of Cloud dressing as a woman a joke to
Hmm.
like something kind of more profound. It wasn't.
Yes.
It was still iconic, but instead of it being like, ha ha, he's dressed like a girl, it became a bit more of like a empowerment thing for queer people because he was in a very queer space and had people like cheering him on and like people were
Yes.
into it. Like there was just a lot more involved that I think really kind of sets it a little bit right compared to what it was.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh,
Uh,
I love it.
yeah.
So yes, Final Fantasy VII Remake S tier. Period.
Yeah. So Final Fantasy VIII.
Final Fantasy VIII is now granted. I have not ever beat it. LOL. um, but back when I played it, I loved it. I think it has the best music of the series.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I would put it at an A.
Okay.
I know a lot of people wouldn't, but I would. Thank
I
you.
can tell you I wouldn't put it in A. I would put it in S.
Oh hell yeah! All right. Period.
Eight's probably one of my favorite ones. It's seven was good. Eight was the one that really got me into the series, though.
Now, can you explain why 8 was not critically loved?
I honestly think that the problem with eight was it was too emotional.
Interesting.
Um, every Final Fantasy, whether you want to admit it or not, is a chick flick disguised as a fight, like disguised as a fighting game. Every single
Period.
one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where eight was very much like this is Romeo and Juliet, bitch. And they're
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
no, no, like people were like nah, 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 it's too much. But I really really liked it. People hated the draw system. I love the draw system because
Oh, I don't
I love being an
go.
all powerful god by stealing magic that I'll never
I
use.
I don't remember the draw system, so I am excited to replay it and to discover whether or not I love or hate the draw system.
I didn't understand the draw system the first time I played it, to be
I
honest.
probably didn't either as a child, and that's probably why I stopped
But if
playing
you
it.
know how to use it, like you can bust the game and basically just like walk around and be like smack and kill everything.
Oh
It
hell
had one
yeah.
of the best card games in my opinion, which is like a joke in its own of the like, do you want to play some cards?
It's just I hate like I never got the hang of the card game in 9. We will get to the card game.
Yeah. But I loved eight. Like I loved eights. I thought it was great. I thought the humor was there. I loved how they managed to get all of their token Final Fantasy stereotypes of like moody spice, pretty spice, kooky spice, um, probably homosexual but not really spice,
Mhm.
token
Mhm.
straight dude spice. You know, like there's a formula for Final Fantasies. There really is. Um, but
Totally.
They did a really good job. I'm obsessed with Selfie. I was obsessed with Renoa. Quistis kind of scared me, and now that I'm older, I like her a lot more because like now I get the whole like being a bitter old adult thing. Um, I like Squall was again not my favorite, but I liked him. Like he was not my favorite character, but I liked him. I had the hugest uh, crush on Irvine when I first played the game. And Zell was like badass. Like there was no character in that game that I didn't like. I liked the storyline. The biggest problem I have is how many people are like, "Oh, that's incest." I'm like, "No, it's not, you dumbasses." Like the like super romantic part is Squall and Renault's parents couldn't be together, but their children could, and it's really endearing.
Oh, gotcha. Gosh, I barely remember it. I'm very, very excited to replay it. I think it's gonna be I was gonna do 12 first, but I think I'll do 8. Just like
Yeah.
hearing you talk about it, I'm like, I gotta do it
Also,
again.
8 was funny. Like
Is it?
I thought it was funny. Like the way that the characters are, they just feel so natural, and the humor from it shows from the fact that like they almost feel like real people having real interactions opposed to like scripted lines.
Now, what is the best way to play 8
The remaster,
today?
the remasters, really good.
On which console? Does it matter?
Doesn't matter. I would recommend if you're just trying to get through it as fast as possible, just do it on PC.
Interesting.
Because PC
Okay.
you can do some edits to it. Like the PC versions let you like do stuff like skip battles and blah 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 blah. Super
Right.
easy. So like if you're at a point where like you're getting frustrated because there's just too much going on, you don't want to be doing all these fights, you don't want to be leveling up, you can just like
I
um
might rebuy it for I might rebuy it for have it on Switch. But next time 8 goes on sale on PC, I'm gonna get it
yeah.
because I rebought 9 for PC
I've
for
rebought all of them for PC.
the Morgori mod. I rebought 7 for the mods. Like
Yeah,
I think I'll do 8 as
I've
well.
rebought all of them on PC
Yeah.
once I got a good enough PC for that. Like just because there is so much more you can do with the PC versions. But yeah,
Yeah.
like honestly, like in my heart of hearts, this is one of my top three. Um, so far, we haven't seen my other top threes yet, but this is the one of them. This one's probably the one that's more likely to be three. Um, but yeah, the next one is Final Fantasy IX.
So Final Fantasy 9 is my number one. Final Fantasy 9 is far and away my favorite Final Fantasy. Vivi breaks my heart.
Yes,
Um,
Vivi's one of the
I,
cutest Final Fantasy characters.
I mean,
Even
Vivi
beats out
just
Mog. Even beats out Mog, and I love Mog.
same,
Um,
same. I mean, 9. I don't even think 9 has the best story. I think 9 kind of goes off the rails in the way in the same way 7 does at the end. I still think 6 has the best story.
I think they all do.
I still I still think 6 has the best villain, but 9 is my favorite because of the world. I love like the mix of medieval and futuristic.
Mhm.
I love the castles and the I just love everything. I love it's my favorite music. Um, I mean, eight's music is amazing, but nine just has a really soft spot in my heart. I just love it so much. Um,
I had a nickname.
and it was a return. It was a return to, um, after 7 and 8 or 8, like where the people were like they stretched the people out and they made them tall and they it was trying to do something, and then 9 went back and it went more traditional
Yeah,
JRPG, with the look of it, um, and I appreciate that. And 9 is one of the last games of the PlayStation. I think it was
it was the last
one of
PS1 game.
was it officially the last PS1 game?
It was the last PS1 game. Yeah, and
And
the
I think
PS1
it
games,
shows.
the PS1 games all have that kind of same problem where they were like, look at how open world we can go, and then by the end you're like, I don't even know where the hell I'm going anymore. Like, calm down a little bit. But like, the content was
Yeah,
all quality even in those open worlds. To be honest.
9 was what, 4 discs?
Yeah. I think 8 was 4 disc, and I can't remember if 9 was 4 or 3.
Because I want to say 9 was the longest Final Fantasy of that gen?
I think 8 is actually.
Oh, is it really? Okay.
I think 8 is, but like the last disc has like nothing on it. Let me just double check here. Um, Final Fantasy 19, I think, only has. Okay, Final Fantasy 9 also had 4 discs. So,
Okay.
8 and 9 both had 4 discs. Um, but I remember when I was a kid, we used to call Final Fantasy 9 like Final Fantasy Furry Adventures because really it is.
It
Um,
really, I mean, maybe that's actually why it's my favorite, like subconsciously.
um,
Um, it's so good.
Final Fantasy
Yeah.
9 I need to replay because I feel like I was too young to appreciate it and I haven't played it since, where like some of the other ones I have. And I feel just from what I've heard people saying about it, I'm going to like it more now that I'm older.
Yes. I I I loved it as a kid, and I did replay it last year, and that solidified it for me.
Yeah. The other thing I liked about Final Fantasy 9 is it had a bit more of a fairy tale whimsy, which you don't really get from
Yes.
a lot of the other ones.
Yes,
Um,
that's what I loved about it.
yeah,
And I just love like the whole opening before they crash land, like that whole
and like
Alex stuff in Alexandria Castle is like burned in my brain.
and I always remember the like stage part where you have to like stage a fight and everything. Like I remember
Yes.
that to this day.
And then at the end they stage the fight again, and then Zidane pops out. Oh my, I'm getting chills just talking about it.
So,
It's so romantic. It's so
yeah.
romantic.
The next one that we're going to talk about is Final Fantasy X.
So, I think a lot of people put 10 as S tier.
Mm-hmm.
I put 10 as A tier.
Okay, well, it was a really good podcast. I have to get rid of Kirby now, but thank you all for coming.
Actually,
I'm
hold
just
on,
kidding.
because
You can vote what you want it to be.
no, because actually I'm second guessing this because I can't have just two Final Fantasy games as A tier that are as S tier because I look at the rest of the list and none of those are S tier, so I think by default 10 has to be S tier.
Okay, but we still have a
I
lot of
think
games to
6,
go.
but none of those are S for me.
But I
So
mean, S
bump.
is supposed to be special. You got to remember that. Like, S is special and it's rare.
Mm, no, 10 has to be S. I'm thinking harder, and 10 has to be S.
Okay.
10,
So,
because the tragedy of 10 is like you think it's what's his face's story. I forget his name.
mhm.
But it's Yuna's story. It's Yuna going to sacrifice herself
Mhm.
essentially. Um, there are things about 10 that frustrate me. There are.
Like what?
Um, Blitzball, I think, is a travesty. I think Blitzball should be fucking eradicated. Fucking hate Blitzball. You know what? Put 10 at A. 10 at A. Fucking thinking about Blitzball. I'm like, fuck this shit.
10 is an
10
A
goes at,
plus in our hearts.
10's an A for me. I'm sorry, but 9 and 6 are just in the stratosphere, and remake,
I,
and 7
I
remake.
just love like the minute that Blitzball's brought up, you're like, no, fuck that, not S.
No, like it's so like I get triggered. But yes, I agree with Katakuma. The sphere grid is probably my favorite leveling
Yeah,
system. I think sphere grid is gorgeous. I think it's like such a fun thing to just vibe out with.
yeah.
10 was one of the first games I streamed, and I would love just like vibing with the sphere grid.
I
But
also,
yeah, I do think it's an A for me. Fio has never played it, so Fio, yes, you absolutely need to play it. It's really good. It's not perfect for me, but it's
um,
really, really,
Final
really
Fantasy
good.
X had probably one of my favorite storylines.
Mm-hmm.
It touched on a lot of like really deep, really controversial topics in a really good way.
Yes.
Um,
Because it doesn't it like tackle religion in a
it
very
talks
interesting
about religion,
way.
like it talks about religion and religion corruption. It talks about like catastrophes. It talks about self-sacrifice. Um, like a lot of it, like I think the reason why a lot of gay people like so much though is because a lot of it has to do with religious suppression. Um, and a lot of queer people kind of see themselves in the Al-Bed and how the Al-Bed are treated.
Yeah.
Where like
Yeah.
the Al-Bed aren't doing anything wrong; they're just using the technology that they got. Um,
The way what's his face, the guy with the ball,
Waka,
is Waka is like so problematic because he fucking hates the Albed. I'm
yeah.
like, okay.
But the thing is, like, if you think about it, that's very similar to how like super religious fanatics hate people of different religions or people who are against their beliefs. And the thing is, it kind of makes some people like reevaluate. And like, I never liked Waka. I know some people who like thirst the hell out of Waka, and I'll
Ew, I
never
don't like
understand it. Like
Waka.
his hairstyle is a giant
No.
cowlick. Um,
Wait, you cut out just as you said. His hair is a giant what?
Cowlick.
Yeah, it is.
Um,
It is.
but
Oh yeah, Orin.
or
Orin's. Yeah, I love Orin.
Oren's got daddy vibes, even with his little slinged up arm. Um,
E.
that's his masturbating hat. It's only used for masturbating.
He pulls it out of the sling. All right, let's go. No, Orin. When you find out he's been dead the whole time, I'm like, okay, T.
hmm Um,
It's so good.
I
I do hate the final boss. I hate the final. Not the wait. Yeah, I do hate the final boss. I hate fighting Jacked.
yeah. Um, I
Oh
loved
shit! Sorry, Fio. Spoilers.
I loved how they did the summon battle though.
Yeah,
Like at the
that
end,
that confused me because I was so nervous that I was gonna die, but
yeah.
then you realize, oh, you can't,
You
which
can
was nice.
well, like, and the thing is, like, the trick to the summon battle is basically use your summons against the summons so that they kill each other. Um,
Right, right.
but I just remember like thinking about it, like these are people like they're kind of party members that you've carried around all your whole time with you, especially Yuna. Has this like
And
big
then you have to
connection
kill them.
one by one.
It's meant to be a very, very emotional moment, and it was clouded for me by the fact that I was so stressed that I had just beaten Jacked, and I was like, "Where's my save point? Where's my save point? Where's my save
Mhm.
point?" And I couldn't think about the emotion of what was
Yeah.
happening.
And then that ending, if you did not at least get like teary eyed during that ending, you're a monster.
Yeah. So 10 is S tier for you, right?
Oh yeah,
Obviously. Is it number 2 or where is it one of the top 3?
it's one of the top three. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's definitely up there. It's competes with my other favorite. Like they're almost neck to neck. And like
Which we haven't reached yet.
no. And like 10-2 on the other hand, like I almost always have to slump 10 and 10-2 together because they were such closely related stories. They don't feel so detached as some of the other like sequels feel because it literally is just like a continuation a couple years later.
10 and 10 too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like 10-2 was basically every single queer person being like, "Hey, we like these games," and like them being like, "All right, here's a game just for you." Um
Literally. Literally.
so you've played 10-2, I'm assuming.
I have played 10 too. I have a controversial opinion on 10 too.
Okay.
I think the battle system is a nightmare disaster, and the dress spheres are terrible. The game, in theory, is one of my favorite games of all time. And then in practice, I had to stop playing it because I couldn't fucking stand it. So 10-2 is a C for me.
What?
I know, I know.
See, and like I like 10-2 more than I like 10.
Oh my God. Yeah, a 10-2 is a C for me because I think the battle system is like broken. I can't. I had to stop playing it. I couldn't do it.
See, and like 10-2, one focuses on my favorite character in the 10 saga, which is Riku, a little bit more.
I do love Riku.
Pain gave me every bit of lesbian energy I didn't know I needed in my life.
I mean, that's the thing. For me, this game in practice, and everything you're gonna say about it, I'm like, I love, but
Um,
playing the game is
the
such a chore
dress
for me.
spheres were amazing. Like those costumes were so well done and so well thought out. I love how like diverse, like when you changed costumes, it did change your game style quite a lot depending on that character, which was lovely. The songs were fantastic.
They are. I don't know. I just like, and I love the costumes. I just didn't like playing the game.
That's fair.
I
Um,
just couldn't get past the combat
I
system.
mean, I really did love it though. And just like,
Is it S tier for you?
oh yeah, without question.
Oh my gosh. The way I'm looking at my tier list and I'm like, do I like Final Fantasy? Every game's like C.
You only have two in C. Um, Now the next one in the Final Fantasy saga, of course, is Final Fantasy 12, which was quite a change for a lot of people,
Yes,
unless they play
yes.
Final Fantasy 11.
12 is an MMO without being an MMO.
Exactly, it's an MMO simulator.
I haven't replayed 12 in a long time. I'm actually currently replaying the Zodiac version, whatever,
Yeah,
on my Switch.
yeah.
Um, so I do like the combat, but I don't remember the story. Um, so I'm putting it at a B, but because I like it. So I'm putting it at a B, but I feel like I'll be able to better reassess
Yeah.
once I keep going with it
I
because I
mean,
really don't remember it.
for me, it's a B as well.
Okay.
I remember really liking the fighting style. I really liked the like the summoning system and everything. The thing that was actually one of my biggest problems is I hate with a passion the Zodiac system compared to the original license boards.
Really?
I've bought it on PC with the hopes I would find a mod
To get rid of the
to get rid of the
Zodiac?
Zodiac system because I want the upgraded graphics but and everything, but I don't want to deal with the Zodiac system.
It's so funny because most reviews of the Zodiac Age say like, "Oh, this version fixes a previously broken system."
Yeah. The princess was just a brat. Ashe isn't that much of a brat. But I mean, let's be real here. Everybody just cares about the pirates and Bosch. Um, I'm really glad you can make it too, Electric. The story of 12 was really good. Couldn't figure out the combat. Yeah, like the combat, if you're not used to MMOs, the combat for 12 is hard. If you do MMOs, though, it's like second nature to you because you're already used to being like, and like
Right.
having to deal
I'm
with recharge times and
I'm excited to get into 12 now that I have 14 under my belt.
yeah,
I think I'll like it a lot better.
yeah. But yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. It was really good. I would leave it as a B just because again, this story, I didn't like and like the main characters to me, like Van and Pinello, the like two people that you start out with. I think are as boring as fucking salt free crackers.
I love a good salt-free cracker. Just
Like
kidding. Dip it in a nice glass of milk. Just
yeah,
kidding.
like the milk would be like too savory for them. Like these are the people who have white bread and go, that's spicy. Um,
Oh my god.
like Fran and like Bach, um, basically like every character that's not those two, I love.
Got it. Got it.
Like
I'm
Balthier.
excited to keep going with it.
Balthier is a gay icon. Fran is a gay icon as well.
They're the two right at the beginning.
They're the
I like
pirates.
them. Yeah, I love them.
Um, Bach, like the soldier dude, is awesome. Ash is like okay. Yeah, he's like you can tell Balthier's a Viking and you know it. And Fran is like that person who like to me Fran screams like asexual energy. I don't know why. Like she just like seems like the person who's like got. She reminds me kind of Jessica Rabbit, where they have all the sex appeal in the world, but like will not have sex with you.
Yes.
Like kind of like that icon. Like I think, for example, Jessica Rabbit's an asexual icon. Fight me if you disagree. But
Oh, I
like
agree.
the fact that
I will not be fighting you.
the fact that she's like when they say like, "Oh, why are you with Roger when you can be with anybody else?" And she's like, "He makes me laugh," and like somebody who is on the A spectrum, I relate to that. Like, I dated somebody and he used to like check out dudes and tell me what he thought about them and ask me what I thought, and I'm like, I don't like. The best way I can put the ace identity is this like one quote from Doctor Who, which I'm not gonna do on this podcast, but like the scene makes me cry every single time, but also I've never related to something harder. um,
Doctor Who. That's something I've never seen. Wait, now I'm curious what the scene is.
it's kind of like a later in spoiler.
That's okay. Unless you don't want to spoil.
I can bring it up. But like to me, it's the best like way I can talk about like asexuality. Let me see if I can bring it up here. I'm gonna do that in a minute. Well, you know what? We'll finish the tier list and I'll show it up.
Perfect.
Remind me and we're done.
Yeah, I'm so curious now. Because I think that's so interesting.
Um, so now we're gonna go into Final Fantasy 13, which is a very controversial game.
It is. It is. For me, it is an A.
Okay, and
It is an A for me.
I would agree with you.
I think the stuff between, gosh, what's his name? I'm blanking on all their
I
names.
don't like Snow and I
But
don't like Hope.
I don't like Snow and I don't like Hope.
Don't like Lightning that much
But the
either.
story with Velel, what's her name?
Vanille, Vanille and Fang.
Oh yeah, they basically become lesbian lovers at the end.
Well, I think they're kind of implied to be lesbian lovers at the start.
Yeah.
Um,
No, that's true. I love the story, and honestly, the combat system
is
is
really good.
flawless. The combat system was the blueprint for the combat system in 7
Well,
remake.
and like when it comes,
The
well,
staggering.
when it comes down to it, Final Fantasy 13 walked, so Final Fantasy 7 remake could run.
Yep.
Point blank. Period.
Period. Period. That was the blueprint. So people can't be shitting on Final Fantasy 13
And then
when
praising the
7
remake.
remake is a masterpiece because the staggering system would not exist in remake without 13.
The thing though that I find very interesting is that you love the 13 battle system, but you don't like 13 or 10-2s because it's based off of 10-2.
Wait, really?
Think about it, the chain thing evolved into the staggering.
Interesting. Okay. I might have to reassess 10-2. I might have to reassess.
The like I love 10-2, but the 10-2 was like basically like when you get to Final Fantasy 10, that's when the games start evolving off of each other again. So like the original PlayStation ones kind of evolved off of each other till they got to their final form, which is 9. Then 10 kind of refreshed, and then they start building off of each other again.
Until you get to 12, which was the last
yeah.
of the PlayStation 2.
No, but the thing is, 13 continues building off of what they did, right? 12 is the abnormality because it built off of 11, and then they kind of dropped it, but they didn't because like they took 10-2, which was came out after 11, and then they kind of fused the systems to make 12, and then they basically were like, okay, we went the wrong way with it, and they did it again and went to 13, and it just kind of kept on growing from that. Like they did it like. The developers of Final Fantasy really do build off their past works a lot. That's why there's so many familiar characters, familiar names, etc., etc., etc.
Right.
But I thought it was really good. I do think the beginning of 13 was a little bit slow.
Yes.
I will not argue with anybody there. I think Snow's a brat. I think Lightning is far too moody, and I think Snow is an egotistical. But I really like Shaz. I loved Vanille, and like Vanille's a very deep character. And also, I am sick and tired of people complaining. They're like, "What's with Vanille and her fake accent?" The voice actress is from Australia. It's not fake. It's her voice. And they're like, "Well, she has a fake Australian accent." I'm like, "She's from Australia."
It's literally not fake.
Like,
oh my god.
every single if you hear North Americans, depending on the place in North America you are, we don't have the same accent. Like, just because you have that stereotypical Australian accent in your head doesn't mean everybody in Australia has the same one. It's the same in the UK. Like, people's accents change. And just because it's something that you don't like doesn't do it. And also, Vanille's probably got the strongest will of any Final Fantasy character.
Vanille's storyline in 13 kills me. I
It's
think
the
it's so
I
good.
like I the more you find out about it, the more crushing it is.
Yes, yes, yeah. I mean, people don't give that storyline enough credit, in my opinion.
They don't. And that ending, like to me, was like iconic. Like the pillar at the end was basically like Final Fantasy, like Square Enix being like gay rights now. Like that was them putting the flag in the sand. um,
Literally.
the moaning at the end was a little questionable, mind you, but like if you're gonna go out, it may go out in an orgy, I guess. But
Oh my God. And then isn't it like a Leona Lewis song that
yeah,
plays?
there's a different song,
Iconic.
but then like Luna does a song, and I remember watching the video of her playing the game, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm really into it," and I'm like, "Girl, you're holding that controller weird. I know this is like
She's holding it upside
this
down.
is your
She's like, I
first
love
this is
gameplay.
your first game. I'm glad you're into it, but this is your first game." Um,
Period.
yeah. Um, but I mean, this is definitely like Final Fantasy's always had iconic songs. This is the first time they didn't write one specifically for the game, which kind of sucked. But like, it also was so perfect too. Like, it was perfect for what it was, and like the fact that it's my hands and they're holding hands, and yeah.
Yeah.
I
It
loved it.
works.
It worked. It was
It,
really lovely, and like I love that Vanille wasn't the main character, but she's narrates the whole thing because she's
oh,
the
yep.
most knowledgeable and she has the most centered perspective. And like I remember people being like, "Oh, but she's like obscenely perky and like always so positive." Then you find out why, and you're like,
Right.
"Ooh."
Like the layers. Hello.
Yeah, bitch is like a parfait. Um, so then we move
Yeah.
on to Final Fantasy 13 too.
It's a B for me.
See, and for me, this is the one that competes with the 10 series with me
Oh my
because
gosh.
I love how they did the time travel.
The time travel felt to me, and you're gonna yell at me, but the time travel to me felt like an over course correction of people calling 13 too linear.
I mean, you're entitled to be wrong, but like, that's fine. Thank you for coming for my podcast. Goodbye.
Disconnect.
Right. Oh, Kirby, there's been an emergency storm in Kirby's residence, and um,
Oh, Curry's apartment has blown away and he is gone. Okay, anyway.
moving on.
Um,
Um,
but I love Sarah as a main character.
yeah.
I couldn't get on board with the time travel. I thought
Um,
it was too
I
much.
really like Sarah's character. I like the time travel. I like the multiple endings. And also the true ending is the bomb. Like that ending, I think to me was more emotional than Final Fantasy X was. The like,
Really?
the true ending to 13-2 is devastating.
So, I do have a little disclaimer for my 13 too. I had to watch a cutscene for the ending because I was in the middle of playing it on my PC, and then I upgraded my graphics card, and the game then refused to run.
Okay. So
So
did you get to any like which ending did you watch?
I don't even remember. I just pulled up some ending on YouTube. Oh
Because
my
the thing is, there's two endings. Like, there's multiple endings to the game. There's like 13 endings, but there's like two endings that are canon. Um, and one
god. Oh gosh.
involves somebody dying, and then one goes kind of into the chain reaction of that person dying.
Oh
And
my god.
like you thought Yuna, like knowing she was gonna die, hurt. Like,
I want to know who it is, but I feel like I should watch
like
the ending
I'm
on
gonna I'm
YouTube
gonna give like
instead.
this is the if anybody wants doesn't want spoilers for 13, um we're gonna put like a 3-minute timer where we're gonna talk about all the spoilery stuff starting now. So like It's starting now. So you find out in 13.2, Sarah becomes a seer, kind of like the other ones. But every time that they change the future and she re-sees it, it takes a bit of her life away.
Oh, fuck.
So when she gets to the final ending, she smiles because she sees it's the ending with the best circumstance, kind of think like Doctor Strange. Um,
Okay.
and she dies smiling, but she's dead. She dies in
Oh
Noel's
my.
arms, and like Lightning's aware. And then Lightning basically goes to get revenge. And what Lightning ends up doing herself is she agrees to becoming crystallized again, as an eternally like an eternally lasting effigy to her sister, because her sister can't fully dissipate and die as long as Lightning remains. So in
Oh
order to
my
keep her alive,
God.
like her memory alive forever, she crystallizes until there's a way to save her sister. So like the very ending, everybody but Noel is basically gone.
Holy shit.
Like it's intense, and like when you hear the ending theme, how hard that like ending theme hits is how dark that game gets. It's probably one of the darkest endings I've had in any Final Fantasy, and I was like, the fuck.
Oh my God. All right. I think I need to reassess. I need to figure out a way to make it work on my fucking PC.
I will help you.
Like, please. I updated my graphics card and it was just like kaput. It would crash. It would repeatedly
So
crash.
what I
And
found out with mine is when I did an update on mine, it
Mhm.
set the settings wrong. So my boot up
Okay.
settings actually ended up, instead of being what my computer could handle, went to the max, and my computer's like, no. So I
Got
just had
it.
to like I basically uninstalled and reinstalled it, and just when I booted up the first time, like set the settings down so it could actually run it. So that might be your situation.
Got it.
Yeah,
And I still have the saves, so
yeah,
I
you'll
could.
still have them when you delete it, so you'll be good.
All right. That's very, very good to know. So I
I'll
can actually finish it.
Yeah. I did hate the Moogle in that one though.
Oh my God. When you chuck the Moogle to
Nothing made
Explorer.
me happier than throwing it, hoping that it would get knocked out and not come back.
It is really fucking annoying. Although the Kupo sound in
Is
my
the
channel
cutest.
is based off the Kupo
Okay,
in 13
cutest
too.
Koopo sound, most annoying because they murder the fuck out of it. Because
They're just chucking it
he says
around.
it for every single form of punctuation. He's like Koopo, and you're like, okay, like I get it, I get it. You say Koopo, I get it, but like
Oh God.
it's it's how he breathes, it's how he speaks, it's how he blinks. It's just like too much.
It's too much. They over Kupo'd the
Yeah.
Kupo.
And like I'm a huge Moogle fanatic. I have 3 stuffed Moogles right over there.
But
Uh,
even for you, it's
I
too
was like,
much.
mm-mm. Um, so then came Lightning's Return.
That's a D for me. It is unplayable. Thank you.
Yeah, the time thing was awful. One of the things that pissed me off is the good character development they had that made Hope likable, that like kind of showed growth in all of them. They're just like, yeah, no, we're gonna undo that. Um,
The game shouldn't exist. I stopped playing it literally after I did not finish it. I put it down after playing like 2 hours.
the thing is, Lightning Returns was needed. They needed a follow up to 10-2.
To say what happened with Lightning, I
So like
guess.
do all this to tie up the loose ends, get everything in. The storyline, when you actually do it, seems like it's a really, really good. Like the person who drafted it was like top tier, and then they're like, okay, now script this and make it a game, and that's where it just went like, because they just like went everywhere with it. None of it was concise, and none of it was like all of it was so good. And like when you hear it and you're like having somebody recap to you, you're like, this is great, this is great, this is great, this is awesome, I love it, da, 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 da. And then you have to play it and you're like, huh? And like
Yeah, it's
I look
would
back,
you also put it at a D?
oh yeah, like looking back at it, it was great. Do I want to play it again? Fuck no. Am I going to? Probably on stream, yes.
Please do.
But I, you can bet your ass that I'm gonna be dragging it the whole time.
It's kind of fun to hate play a game on stream though.
Yeah. Well, and I love
It,
making I love doing meme runs about shit. And then Final Fantasy 15 is our final
so
game,
so
also known
15
as Backstreet's Back Car Flight.
literally. I think 15 has issues. I think its open world is stupid and dumb, and if I have to sit in that car one more time, I will not be happy. But I do think the combat system is great. I basically don't remember the story at all. I do like the world aside from the open world part of it. I think it's fun. I am looking forward to playing the Royal Edition. I do want to stream it. And I like it. I think it's a good game. I know a lot of people hate it, but I would put it at a B.
I would do the same. Um,
Okay.
they did a lot of really good stuff to kind of like bring back the nostalgia of like what we loved and what we remembered about Final Fantasy, and doing all these like really subtle, cute nods. Florence and the Machine's songs that were covered and written for that game are all masterpieces.
Yes.
You
Yes.
can buy the like Florence and the Machine album that has I think 3 songs on it, that she did for the game, and all of them are
Great.
like give you chills. They give you every sensation that you need in life. The
Yeah.
game gets a little messy because I think they ran into the situation that a lot of games are running into, which is we want to make a really good story game because that's what we're known for. But people really love open world right now, so we're gonna make an open world. It's like not everything has to be a 200-hour game.
Yeah, I think 15 would have been better off being a hallway simulator like 13.
Well,
I would have liked it more.
I wouldn't mind the open world if it was like half the size.
It's just so big, and for what? It's there's
Like they
nothing
made
in
it
it.
so big
It's
so that they
empty.
only like the biggest problem I think is they made it really big so they could be like, and you can drive the car, and you're like,
But you can't.
I'm
It
a
just goes
gay,
on
I can't
autopilot
drive.
on the
Like
road.
I'm gay, I can't drive anyways. Like we all know that Final Fantasy is enjoyed by most of the gay community, and most of us can't drive. So why would you like this? Isn't the fantasy we dream of?
No. Like, doesn't the car like get destroyed at one point?
I fucking hope so.
I think it does,
Yeah.
because I remember someone who hated it played it and they were like, "Yes, the car fucks up." Oh
um,
gosh, but I am looking forward to playing the Royal Edition.
yeah. Um, but yeah, that's our list. So we're gonna save this, and it'll be in the Discord. For those of you who don't agree with it or disagree with it, this will be going into the Discord, and we can discuss there and move on from it.
I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's not my list, but like,
Not my Final Fantasy
I'm
tier
not
list.
mad at it. Hey Zan,
Thoughts on 16? I think 16 we're looking at an A tier level game. I'm very excited for 16.
I think it's gonna be a C.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm not holding my breath on that one. I'm going to play it. I'm probably gonna love it. Um, but I don't think it's gonna be what I want it to be.
Interesting. Yeah, cuz I think we're looking at 7 remake combat, which great.
Yeah.
We're looking at the writers of Final Fantasy 14 storyline, which great. The world looks a little boring to me.
Yeah.
I will admit. It looks a little Game of Thrones, um, which is a little snooze fest to me, but we'll see.
I didn't like Game of Thrones.
I mean, I've never seen an episode of that show.
I read the books. I liked the books. I watched a couple of the episodes. They weren't bad, but like, I was not like. It just kind of felt very filler content to me.
Oh, actually, I have watched one episode of Game of Thrones. I watched the series finale of Game of Thrones. That's the only episode I've seen.
Okay. Um. Okay. So Doctor Who. I said I was going to show you this.
Oh, yes. And then can I take a pee break before we play games?
Oh, we always do.
Oh,
Yeah,
fabulous.
we always take a little break between. So this is a scene from Doctor Who. And this little like speech thing to me is like my definition of what like being like demisexual is like, or probably ace too. So to me, that's basically what, in my opinion, demisexual relationships are like in a nutshell.
That was so. I love that. I love that so much. Wow.
Yeah,
That's like, yeah, that's like so true though. To
yeah,
have like, so true.
yeah.
I love that.
And like anybody who's ever asked me what it's like being like demi or anything like that's kind of the clip I kind of point them to. I'm like that's how I feel attraction.
That's and yes, like that clip, like I get it. And like I also kind of relate to that in a way.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
And like it's weird, and this is like a completely different topic. It's a huge one, and I can go into it for like I could have a 10-hour podcast about this topic. But like there's a lot of ace erasure in the gender sexually and diverse community. I mean, there's a lot of erasure. There's bi erasure. There's pan erasure.
Hmm.
Trans erasure, non-binary. Like there's a lot, and that's stuff that we have to work on. But like
Yeah.
we need like 5 more episodes to deal with all that, and it still won't get through all of them. But yeah, that's demisexuality to me in a nutshell. Um, I
I love
am
that.
really excited for us to be doing Outbreak soon, though, with that DL
Same.
kid and Jacoby. Which, for those of you who don't know what Outbreak was Resident Evil's first attempt at like a multiplayer game, and it was very much like the old school tank controls and old school Survivor of like the OG RE1, RE2, RE3, and then the servers went down and nobody could play them anymore. And one of the problems that they run into is a lot of people, whenever they're like, oh, like a multiplayer Resident Evil game, compare it to Outbreak, not and want it back. And we just so happen to find a way to get it back. So we're going to do it.
Hell yeah.
And there's already been one small fight about which one we're going to, like, who's playing who.
Oh,
But I was so Canadian and gave up my girl so Jacoby could play her.
not Jacoby causing a fight. Oh my god.
Honestly, it was literally like he's like, I'm gonna play Cindy. I'm like, but that's my character. I'm like, you know what? Whatever, fine. I'll just be the like, I'll find somebody else. And now I'm like between 3 characters. I'm like, who do I pick? But I'll
God damn
figure it
it,
out.
Jacoby. Just give Queen their character.
No, no, it's fine. Like I remember that Cindy's basically just a healer. I'm like, I want to be more useful, so I'm fine with it.
Jacoby's our healer. Oh boy.
Mhm. um,
Jacoby, where you at? I'm gonna yell.
I'm like totally making fun of Jacoby. By the way, it wasn't really a big deal. It was literally just like okay.
I'm picturing just a fucking brawl.
But yeah, for those of you who don't know about what's going on, this is the event. I'm covering up my and BK's events. So it's Resident Evil Outbreak, a very special Resident Evil Outbreak collab featuring
This
Queen
poster.
CDQ, that DL Kid, BK Kasky, and Jacoby. Fun fact with this poster, Kuriri, like Kasky made it up. And I'm like, can I put her faces on it? He's like, yeah, sure. So then, like, I got all of our pictures, and like an hour later, I'm like, here you go.
Graphic design is our passion.
Yeah. As you can, so you don't appreciate how you have to appreciate how much like I erased Cindy's ponytail perfectly. You can't even tell that it was there. So Jacoby's
I
face is
mean,
there.
your beautiful like Photoshop cutouts of our faces, like does like it should be on a much better looking poster. The
Um,
quality you have given to this crapshoot poster I
and
created.
Jacoby's picture again. I'm not making fun of you, Jacoby. Jacoby's picture actually had his thumb in it, like over his face. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, I think that's actually her pose. And I realized it's not her pose, it's somebody else's on a different poster of it. So I actually photoshopped his thumb away. So I've realized that I'm better at Photoshop than I thought I was.
That's
Because you
amazing.
can't tell, but there's actually supposed to be a thumb on his face.
That's amazing. You did such a good job.
I'm not saying that I'm an esports person, but like,
That's pretty esports.
I'm basically a designer now. I can put it on my resume. um, So we are getting to those final 15 minutes of the podcast that we normally have, which is specifically laid out kind of for, does anybody, like, is there anything else that you really wanted to discuss at all?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, no. I think we've covered a range of topics.
Yes. And then if there's anybody else who has questions, please do ask them. That is kind of like this, the podcast is better when we have an audience asking us questions, um, because it gives us stuff to talk about instead of just like ignoring all of you and talking about how much we love each other so much. But for those of you who are, you just got like really flat.
I accidentally I accidentally touched my virtual camera window.
But for those of you who are not following BK, I definitely recommend giving them a follow. Their content's great. It's fun. They probably have one of my favorite sound commands out of anybody on Twitch, which is his danger command. Just go into the chat. Don't even say hi. Just hit danger. Like put exclamation danger when you get in there. That'll give you the entire vibe of his channel. um,
Gosh, I'm looking forward to that
I
now.
can't
People
wait till
just
you get
coming
spammed with
in.
it. But do go there, give him a follow. I really appreciate his time and everything that he did for coming in here. And just like honestly, just being an awesome content creator. I really enjoy doing stuff with them. I am looking forward to a collab. We will be doing, of course, this podcast again in 2 weeks with Dungeon Master, where we're going to be talking a bit more about D&D. But me and BK are going to take like a 10-ish minute break from all of you lovely people because we've been sitting here for 2 hours. And BK was streaming before that even happened. I was being a useless potato before that even happened. So, like, we need the break. So we will still be here. So feel free to chill out and stick around. And then we're going to move into playing some Hood, which is a really fun new 4-player game. I think we have 2 people who are planning to join us as well.
Oh hell
Um,
yeah.
so that'll be really cool. But we're going to let y'all go for now, and we will see you in about 10 minutes. Oh, and for those of you who are not joining us after the podcast, I want you to remember what I always say. You are valid, you are valuable, and you are so